This is DJ Savaries reading The Caseworker Speaks of a Good Fit. Morning laps at its bowl of water. The lake eagerly greets the shore. A man in his bathrobe does the daily puzzle, the smell of coffee, 6 across. A boy upstairs lingers in bed. The warmth of the sheets envelops him. How many letters does it fit? The promise of pancakes, 4 across. He had dreamt forever of a scene like this: family, food, a true green home. Violence, that's a crossword puzzle. The way he'd cry, 11 down. Late afternoon. The wind picks up. A single blank remains. I think I've got it. Everything fits. His heart billows like a sail. About this poem. In my head I am not a foster child, but sometimes in my heart I am. This poem is written to my heart. In it I am sensing, not languaging, my way through the world. I love my grandfather who speaks in crossword puzzles, making of language a kind of game, which I borrow to frame the poem. I feel him everywhere around me in this cottage we have loved since we were both 5 years old. Here, in the sensory, we are all part of an interdependent ecosystem, and my heart is safe to billow like a sail.
On to the next season. Let's continue, shall we?
Okay, go ahead.
Welcome back, my friends, to the Lo-Fi Lounge. I'm Chris LeRoy. Wait, I shouldn't look at what you're doing. It makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back, my friends, to the Lo-Fi Lounge.
So many ideas, so many words to say, but I can't always get it out or get it down. Just keep on slipping away. Yeah, they fall off the page. There's a million places to go, so much to see, but I can't get off the ground. 'Cause I don't wanna fly high. Send me a postcard from the moon. I won't be there too soon. You can go ahead without me. I can see us dancing around the world in fluorescent lights and glossy magazines. I can see us getting too far ahead in this ugly world where we don't know each other anymore. And brilliant colors swirl around us, bending light beams into bows. And I don't know, but I've been told that at the end there's a pot of gold. Run around all over town, uptown, downtown, down to D's for another round and around. And I can see us dancing around the world in fluorescent lights and glossy magazines.
In the 1960s, the primary music location on the National Orange Show Fairgrounds in San Bernardino would have been the Swing Auditorium. Many notable concerts took place in the 7,300 capacity building. But if a National Orange Show concert or dance only required a building with room for an audience of 1,500 or so, the go-to venue would have been the KAISER Dome. It was an example of a geodesic dome. Geodesic domes are self-supported spherical structures composed of rigid triangles. The two individuals most associated with this type of structure were American architect Buckminster Fuller and American industrialist Henry J. Kaiser. Fuller was also known as a writer, designer, inventor, philosopher, and futurist. While he wasn't the original inventor, he popularized the geodesic dome in the United States. Kaiser's company built the Liberty ships during World War II. After the war, he formed the Kaiser Aluminum and Kaiser Steel companies. He also introduced the Kaiser Permanente health care system for his workers and their families. Kaiser wanted to combine his construction resources and aluminum with Fuller's design. The two men joined forces to construct a number of Kaiser domes in the United States. The first Kaiser Dome built was in Honolulu, Hawaii, on the grounds of Kaiser's Hawaiian Village Hotel. The design and the workers were so efficient that construction was completed in 20 working hours. San Bernardino's Kaiser Dome was built on the fairgrounds of the National Orange Show. At first, hobby shows and various other exhibits were presented in the building, but two local individuals saw potential in the building to host dance concerts. These two men were Jesus Valdez, who worked for the Santa Fe Railroad, and Manuel Quevedo Jr., who had been a member of the San Bernardino Police Department since 1941. Valdez coordinated the Kaiser Dome from 1961 to 1964. Quevedo was manager of the venue from 1961 to 1967. Initially, they booked acts that reflected their musical tastes. This meant that they booked nationally known Latin dance bands that played mambo, cha-cha-cha, cumbia, merengue, salsa, and rumba music. Many of these bands called New York City their home. The dance concerts were so popular that the San Bernardino Sun newspaper began to refer to the Kaiser Dome as a Mexican dance palace. One of their earliest promotions was held on December 25, 1961. The dance featured the Inland Empire group, the Bob Velasquez Orchestra. It was sponsored by the local American Legion Post 709. Valdez and Quevedo were both members of the Post. Free Orange Show tickets were given away with each admission. On New Year's Eve, 1961, the two men presented a dance featuring Ralph Laguna and his orchestra. The event was again sponsored by the American Legion Post 709. In addition to favors and cocktails, more free Orange Show passes were given out. Perhaps the first big-name entertainer to appear at the Kaiser Dome was Rene Touzé and his orchestra on Easter Sunday, April 22, 1962. Touzé was a Cuban-born American composer, pianist, and bandleader. In the late 1940s, he was a member of the Desi Arnaz Orchestra until he decided to strike out on his own, playing merengue, cha-cha-cha, and mambo music. His Easter dance concert at the Kaiser Dome was so well received that he was booked for an encore performance on June 9, 1962. October 1962 saw a Halloween dance with an appearance by Eddie Encinas and his orchestra. Encinas and his group were based in the Latin Quarter nightclub in Hollywood. Encinas and his orchestra were recording artists with a number of LP album releases to their credit. Also in October 1962, there was a rally staged at Kaiser Dome for Richard Nixon, who was running for governor of California. Nixon's wife, Pat, also attended, as did Chuck Connors, who was the star of the TV Western The Rifleman. 2 years later, Ronald Reagan campaigned at the Dome for Barry Goldwater, who was running for president in 1964. In May of 1963, Lalo Gonzalez, a.k.a. Piporro, appeared at the Kaiser Dome and sang with his group Los Braveros del Norte. Also performing that evening were comedian Jose Hasso, Nilda the Tahitian dancer, and Tony Gomez and his orchestra. Gonzalez was well known in the Spanish-speaking community because he appeared in a number of popular Mexican movies. In addition to being a movie star, Gonzalez was also a recording artist, releasing a number of albums over the years. Puerto Rican-American pianist, bandleader, musician, and composer Eddie Palmieri played the venue in November 1963. In 1961, Palmieri founded his orchestra Conjunto La Perfecta. To this day, the group is known as one of the swingingest, most danceable, innovative, and influential groups of that period. January 11, 1964, saw a performance by Joe Cuba and his orchestra. Cuba was an American conga drummer of Puerto Rican descent. He was credited as being the father of a style of music known as Latin Boogaloo. But by the mid-1960s, a new form of dance music came on the scene and eclipsed the New York Latin dance bands of the first half of the decade. In Part 2, the emergence of rock, Chicano, and soul bands at the Kaiser Dome.
I can leave this world. It's not my problem anymore. I can leave your side. It's not my problem anymore. No more pain, no more sorrow, no more rivers running dry. I'll just lay here beside you and close my eyes. There's no more problems anymore. It's a world of fear. It's not my problem anymore. I can walk away. It's not my problem anymore. You can't stop me from smiling. You can't see what I can see. You're so right. Did by sadness, but it's alright. Yeah, it's alright. Don't you cry. I
welcome to Brown Box. I'm your co-host, Ryan Harsch.
And I'm Chris LeRoy.
And on Brown Box, we each bring in a different record that we really enjoy and that we want to kind of hype and talk about and maybe expose some people to. So that's what we're going to be doing today.
I like that concept.
Absolutely.
And we also have a brown box.
I'm glad you like it too.
Yeah.
Did you bring anything today?
I did bring something.
What you got?
So
There we go.
from 1976, Flaming Groovies,
Nice.
Shake Some Action. Again, one of the most influential albums in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And very unsung band. Flashed through pre-punk era, more like pub rock thing,
Sure.
but they're not a pub
Right.
rock band. They're like the heart of rock music, the heart of rock and roll music. And you hear earlier versions of the Flaming Groovies, and they're sort of making that bridge between rock and roll music.
Right.
And because you can see their intense love
Yes.
for the music that came before, and they create something that would have stood the test of time in the 60s, and they would have been as celebrated as big name bands,
Right.
bands, because of the song quality, the sound. Dave Edmunds produced it, and when I listened to it, I thought, well, this has to be a reissue for something,
Sure.
because this couldn't be music from 1976, and I probably got it around 78. maybe.
Okay.
So right in the cusp of the bands that I was going to be involved with.
Sure.
The Dangers were starting up, and then when I make my little cassette mixes, and we'd be driving to the band practice, and we were sharing this with John. I say, there's this great music. Tony loves it.
Mm-hmm.
You love it. And John still sings "Shake Some Action" as a part of what they do within. We did in the Dangers, but the Flaming Groovies captured kind of the feel of kind of Beatles song construct. Dave Edmunds gave him the sound of the studio and the mics and whatnot, and yet it doesn't sound like a throwback. They're not like copying the Beatles.
Yeah.
It's like a band who would have coexisted during that time.
Sure.
And they just happened to show up. It's like they got on the wrong train.
Yeah, right. You look at them.
Yeah.
Like, look at the back. They're all hanging out.
Yeah.
They're all in suits.
They're all in
right?
suits.
Which
They
is
got on the
cool.
wrong train somewhere in the
They got
1965,
lost.
and it kept going.
Yeah. They're in a time warp.
And they got
Yes.
off the train, and it was 1976. It says, "Damn, we have all these great songs.
Uh-huh.
Shake Some Action." Sometimes, yes, it's
Mhm.
true. Yes, it's true.
Mhm.
I mean, all these are just like classic songs that, if they got off the train earlier, they would be one of the most celebrated bands, and they still can be.
Do you think they meant it to sound that way?
I am sure
Sure.
they were headed that way, but it almost sounds a little bit kind of like a mistake, like it was
Yeah.
like there's some sort of fuzz over the top.
It's okay.
You pick up the needle and you blow on it.
Right.
There's something,
Yeah.
but it is that sound, and it is this music, and I wouldn't change a molecule on this album. And it was special to me. It was special to my band, because we said, "Oh my goodness, there's a band we want to be as cool as the Flaming Groovies, and someday we'll get there."
Yeah.
But
The UK band, right?
yes,
So it's like when they came out, like there weren't, this is like the Clash were just kind of like starting, or they were just like starting to get bigger.
well,
right?
there was all the Bridgley Schwartz, there was all these pub bands, Graham Parker,
Yeah.
that they launched in these English clubs,
Uh-huh.
and the Ramones hadn't landed in England and just
Right.
injected everybody
Just about to.
with just
yeah.
the power and the speed of the
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
That never became a part of who they were.
Yeah.
They were proud of their kind of 60s heritage.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in my experience in a band, Dangers would be in the middle of, we started in 1979. So we were in the middle of all the punk era.
It's a good year, a lot going on.
Wonderful, wonderful family of musicians, especially out here in the Riverside area, between here and LA, San Bernardino, the Beat.
Yeah.
We would be in these shows at the Ritz or at the Beat or somewhere local, and there'd be like 4 punk bands, and then the Dangers in the middle, and then 4 more punk bands.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, it was like, man, you guys aren't cool. You're not punk. And all I had, I was just like, you need to listen to the Flaming Groovies and come back and talk with me. New music from the Dangers on the way.
Sometimes I want to take you down. Sometimes I want to get you low. Or brush your hair back from your eyes. Or take you down, let the river flow. Sometime I'm gonna walk the streets behind a green sheet of glass. A million miles below their feet. A million miles, a million miles. Be with you, girl, like being lower. Hey, 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 like being stoned. Be with you, girl, like being lower. Hey, 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 like being stoned. Me and Pop is gonna make me sleep. Just one rose, it knows your name. Fruit is rusting on the vine. Fruit is calling from the trees. Hey, just wanna go down like some junkie cosmonaut. A million miles below their feet. A million miles, a million miles. I'll be with you, girl, like being low. Hey, 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 like being stoned. I'll be with you, girl, like being low. Hey, 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 like being stoned. Blue is the sun. Brown is the sky. Oh, green are her eyes. A million miles, a million miles. Hey, don't you wanna go down? Who likes some cheese, grace, cosmonaut? A million miles.